cat fight, women officers gone rogue, and in Kannada, Jade Jagala means fight of the braid. These are some of the words that have been used to describe an ongoing public spat between two civil servants in Karnataka. These deeply disturbing and sexist words because the two officers involved are women officers, IPS officer Roopa D. Modgil and IAS officer Rohini Sindhuri. And these words exactly have trivialized the issue at hand. On this episode of State of Play, I tell you what the real issue in this entire scenario is. Welcome to the show. I am Anusha Ravi Sood. Did you find it entertaining? IPS officer, woman IPS officer, making accusations of professional and personal misconduct against an IAS officer, releasing private photos on social media. Clearly, the mainstream media found it all very entertaining. It was really hypocritical, if not funny, when the media that questioned Roopa releasing these private photos of Rohini Sindhuri on social media, debating whether it was the right thing to do or wrong thing to do, whether it was a personal attack overall from one woman officer to another woman officer, found it not at all problematic using the same private photos on loop on their channels throughout the day on Monday. The hypocrisy is truly unbelievable. But that is not even the point of this particular show. All these narratives of catfight, Jade Jagala, two women officers going at each other over jealousy or rivalry, or two women officers who are very popular among their own circles on social media, going at each other over some sort of a personal issue. All of these narratives deflected from the actual issue at hand. The symptom here, perhaps, is the public spat. The rot is in the system. And that is the absolute and abject administrative failure in Karnataka, especially when elections are around the corner, when the state becomes far more dependent on bureaucrats. IPS officer D. Roopa has made accusations of professional and personal misconduct by Rohini Sindhuri, an IAS officer, alleging that she has violated Service Rules Code. Rohini Sindhuri, on her behalf, has rejected all these claims and has insisted that Roopa is taking her on personally, tarnishing her image, attempting to defame her in a vilification campaign. Both these officers have filed complaints against each other with the Chief Secretary of Karnataka, who's also a woman, Vandita Sharma. Roopa, through her social media posts, has made about 19 allegations against Rohini Sindhuri, including professional and personal remarks. On Monday, she even filed a complaint with the Chief Secretary detailing professional irregularities that she alleges Rohini Sindhuri of. While all of these allegations have been made, the only one that caught the attention of mainstream media, politicians, civil society is Roopa's allegation that Rohini Sindhuri sent private pictures, photographs of herself to her male colleagues. While Rohini Sindhuri's husband, a private citizen, has filed also a criminal complaint against D. Roopa for defamation and attempting to outrage the modesty of a woman, the government has sought to know from both officers why disciplinary action should not be initiated against them. From Union Minister Prahlad Joshi to Karnataka's Law Minister J.C. Madhuswamy, a range of leaders from the BJP, including the likes of ministers like Muniratna, who have mocked this entire scenario as just a personal rivalry, as women fighting at a water tap in a village, etc., trying to trivialize the entire issue. From union ministers to state ministers, everybody has put forth their opinion that this is an unprecedented scenario and it has to be dealt with an iron fist, and these officers have to be punished for what they have done in public. The ministers will have you believe that they did not see this coming, that this is something new, and this is just a personal issue between two officers. None of those are entirely true. Let's take the last one first. Everybody will have you believe that this is a personal tiff between two officers playing out in public. While the misuse of photographs of one officer by another officer can give you this impression, the allegations are much beyond these photographs. Although Roopa insists that even sharing of such photographs is a violation of service rules. D. Roopa has accused the government of rejecting a Lokayukta inquiry suggestion against Rohini Sindhuri in a corruption case. She has also accused Rohini Sindhuri of attempting to compromise with an MLA against whom the latter had made corruption charges. The allegations that are being leveled by the IPS officer against the IAS officer, which she has rejected, also include giving away a 10 crore rupee tender without following a tender process in Tirupati, where Karnataka is attempting to build a Karnataka Bhavan for pilgrims. And Roopa insists that this was done just for architectural design purposes. That sum, Roopa insists, has to be investigated. The process has to be investigated by the government. Roopa has questioned the government over the delay in initiating action, taking the next logical step over a preliminary report against Rohini Sindhuri that said that the IAS officer, in her capacity as DC of Mysore, violated regulations and built a swimming pool and a gym in a heritage building, that too during COVID-19 pandemic. Roopa has sought to know why, despite many allegations over the years, this particular officer, Rohini Sindhuri, has escaped inquiry of all sorts. She wants to know if her influence or those influential in powerful places in the government is protecting this officer. These are the allegations made by Roopa against Rohini Sindhuri, which do not involve just personal misconduct but also professional irregularities or misconduct like misuse of office, using influence for beneficial gains for herself or her family, corruption allegations, attempting to compromise with an MLA accused of corruption overall. While Rohini Sindhuri has rejected all these allegations, categorically stating that D. Roopa is out to carry a campaign to malign Rohini Sindhuri, to defame her in public. It is very convenient for the government to ignore allegations of severe nature and only look at it in a personal capacity, to deem this a personal tiff between two women officers. Then comes the question, is this new? Absolutely not, especially not in Karnataka, where many IPS, IAS officers, civil servants have a social media persona that is larger than life. This isn't the first time that civil servants have voiced their concerns, their opinions, their issues in the media or on social media, especially these two officers involved in this tiff as well. D. Roopa and Rohini Sindhuri have very strong social media presence, although Rohini Sindhuri insists that she does not personally tweet, she does not personally handle social media pages, etc. But there are fan groups of these officers on social media that speak on their behalf, that troll each other on their behalf. And this is not the first time that these two officers have hit the headlines over voicing their issues, their concerns, their allegations out in social media, or even rift with colleagues on social media. So, no, this is not new. Officers in Karnataka many times in the past have taken to social media to voice their concerns, irritations, frustrations, allegations, and rifts with colleagues in public. And the government truly has to be blind to have not seen it in the past and cannot insist that this is the first time this is happening. Perhaps the magnitude of this is unprecedented, but this is definitely not the first time that civil servants have taken to social media or media to level allegations against each other. The same officers, let's say way back in July 2021, D. Roopa took to her Facebook page to say Rohini Sindhuri has hired a PR firm that runs a troll factory to hype up Rohini Sindhuri's public persona and at the same time troll, abuse, and defame those who criticize her. This was way back in July 2021. In June 2021, Rohini Sindhuri had a very open public spat with another IAS officer, Shilpa Nag, when both of them were posted in Mysuru. The public spat went to such an extent that Shilpa Nag offered to resign from service, alleging harassment by Rohini Sindhuri. The then chief secretary under the BJP government had to take a call on transferring both these officers from their existing positions. That is how the government chose to deal with a public spat between two officers. This was again in June 2021. Then comes the question of the government not knowing, did not see this coming, and they did not expect the two officers will spar in public, and they should have come to the government first before taking it to the media or social media. On Monday, while talking to reporters, Roopa categorically stated that Sunday, the day she posted her questions and photos of Rohini Sindhuri, questions to Rohini Sindhuri, was not the first time that she was raising questions over government not taking action against this IAS officer. In fact, Roopa insisted that since 21 days, she has been knocking on the doors of several officers, ministers in the government, seeking, demanding answers, accountability on where investigations in various cases or allegations in various cases against the IAS officer stands. Roopa insists that she took to her Facebook page to list out her allegations, which she had been bringing to the notice of several other officers in Karnataka over the last 21 days. She took to posting it on social media after a photograph of Rohini Sindhuri emerged meeting Sara Mahesh, a JDS legislator, a former minister against whom Rohini Sindhuri had made allegations of corruption. Roopa sought to know if the IS officer met the MLA to arrive at a compromise. The MLA, talking to media later, did acknowledge that there was a meeting, and that meeting was for Rohini Sindhuri to express regret for levelling allegations of encroachment, corruption against him. Roopa insisted that it was only after the government failed to respond to her queries, to the concerns raised by her, did she go public with those allegations. While Rohini Sindhuri has questioned who is Roopa really to question her. It is true, she is an IAS officer, Roopa is an IPS officer. There is no way that Roopa is Rohini Sindhuri's superior, senior, who needs to keep a tab on her work or on her professional decisions. Rohini Sindhuri has insisted that Roopa is a nobody when it comes to seeking accountability from her for her professional decisions, and it is up to the government, to the CS, to demand the same. Both officers, like we said, have now submitted their complaints, counter complaints, explanations to the Chief Secretary. A former top bureaucrat, a woman officer who South First spoke to, pointed to exactly where the problem was. All of these allegations, counter allegations, the drama that is playing out in public, she said, are all symptomatic. The rot is elsewhere, and the rot is in the system that protects its own, whether it is the bureaucratic lobby or politicians, and the rot is in the government that has failed to follow due process. Had the government followed due process, responded to allegations of irregularities that have been raised by one civil servant against another in time, assured of action, assured of acknowledging such concerns that have been raised, then perhaps this would have never ended up in the public domain. There have been instances in the past where officials have gone up against each other, but all those times the government has been able to address the issue at the government level, at the internal level. This time around, the entire issue has blown out in public because the government failed to address these concerns when they were raised. The government failed to follow due process. If anything, people in the government kept deeming this a personal issue between two women officers, refusing to acknowledge the severity of allegations that were being leveled by one officer against another, especially officers who have great social media presence. The senior bureaucrat who was speaking to South First also pointed to how social media has played a huge role in this entire saga. Here are two officers, and these are not the only two officers in Karnataka who have a social media persona. They have great social media presence. They have fan clubs that criticize each other's fan clubs, that question officers, painting a larger than life pictures. This is what gives rise to real life Singhams, real life lionesses, warrior princesses, warrior queens, or warrior kings. These are the various titles that fans end up giving IAS and IPS officers in service. And this senior bureaucrat, while talking to South First, spoke about how this larger than life persona also becomes part of the problem. that when people take you seriously, they adore you, they are following you on social media, it suddenly causes irritation when the government isn't taking your allegations, your concerns more seriously. The senior bureaucrat also pointed to how this is an absolute expose of a system, whether it is the IAS lobby or the IPS lobby, that seeks to protect its own, irrespective of the kind of allegations that are leveled against officers in responsible, powerful positions. The rot is also in the government that has absolutely failed in this particular instance to not just rein in officers, but to have not seen a pattern emerging over the years. Now, leaders of the BJP, including the likes of Rajya Sabha member Leher Singh, have asked the union government to step in and put in regulations on the use of social media for IAS and IPS officers, for civil servants. But will curbing their social media usage really address the problem of irregularities and corruption that these officers have raised? That is the question. Thank you for watching South First. This is State of Play, and I am Anusha Ravi Sood. We will soon come back to you with yet another episode.